Hey friends, and a special shout out to my Makers Club members who are getting this video a few days early. I don't know about you, but lately I have been turning to art more and more to support my mental health. Frequently that just looks like repetitive markmaking, which I find very soothing. I often do it while watching a show or listening to a podcast or even during an online D&D session to keep my hands busy so I can focus. I highly recommend making this a regular practice if you want to bring a simple therapeutic element into your mixed media. Here I'm starting with some scribbly pencil writing in the background. In this case, it's a mantra I use often, "This too shall pass." I'm adding a few more scribbly pencil marks just to loosen myself up and provide more visual interest underneath the layer of paint I'll add next. I think the best part of this particular process is the fact that each step can be done in 5 minutes or less, especially if you're working in a small sketchbook like I am. If you're creating with time and space constraints, this is a great way to build up one layer at a time despite those limitations. Personally, I hate dealing with rinse water when I use acrylic paint, and I will do just about anything to avoid it. So here I'm scraping on a layer of paint using an old hotel key card. Don't tell them I took it. This makes for an unpredictable and patchy layer, which is a lot of fun to work with. It's also mostly sheer, but the areas that have been built up repeatedly obscure some of the pencil marks. Now it's time for some finger painting. I'm not usually a pink person, but I've been enjoying this fluorescent paint for accents lately. And here's the part where my paint was so bright, it blew out my camera. I'm laying these marks down a bit like a constellation and taking my time deciding where the next one should go. The act of finger painting also makes me feel very connected to my inner child. Now I've got one of my favorite DIY tools, a cheap water brush filled with white acrylic paint, water, and flow aid. I'm building up these scalloped shapes. They could be hills or mushrooms or gravestones if you're feeling goth, but for the time being they're non-representative because the point here is to enjoy the process of laying down these faint organic shapes with slight variations. My Neo Color 2 crayon in turquoise green is quickly becoming my favorite color, and it looks amazing with that fluorescent pink. This is the last color going into this spread, and while almost everything on the page is very light in value, I was impressed with the way the finished spread still reads. It just goes to show you don't need the entire spectrum of colors in one spread, or even the entire range of values to make a harmonious result. These freckles on the right-hand page will lend some visual balance. I wanted a wide variety of element size and quality of line in this spread. My finishing touch on many of my spreads is dashed lines with a gel pen. Depending on the context of the rest of the piece, they can look like stitching or topographic lines, or in this case, a treasure map. Although this corner looked somewhat suggestive for a hot minute there. Hope this video doesn't get taken down. I'm echoing those lines on the opposite side and working in threes for balance. Most of the time, I would consider a composition like this to be a background for a focal point I would go on to add, but I'm leaving this as is because I found the process so satisfying. Let me know in the comments if you followed along with these steps and if you're as hooked on mark making as I am. Thanks so much for watching.